Hey there folks, this is Alan again, and after my last video on the 9XR Pro, I was having some troubles with it, so I thought, time to play. So, what I'm doing is, this is what one looks like when it's put together, of course, and this is what it looks like when it's taken apart. Now, most of you don't get into a radio quite this far, which is fine. Not everybody wants to do that. But I thought I would show you some of the parts for those of you that haven't ever been in the radio and are always curious as to what's actually living in it. So let me get the tiddly bits out of the way here. Alright, so first up, this is the main computer board. That's the front of it. And what we've got here is, this is the real-time clock battery backup. And of course, all of these pins here are finally available information on the HobbyKing site, because we've been battling to get it on there. Thanks to one of the other members for being very persistent. Good for you. No reason not to have it. And it's a very big help. This is on the... What did I do with that diagram? I don't know. Oh, here it is. Okay, so major, if you pull up the diagram, you'll see what all this is. It mentions 3.3 volt. I think it's yeah. No, it's a 5 volt, 5 amp regulator. That's this part right here. That does not plug in, so don't mess with it. It's a switching type. Now, I was commenting a lot on the other video about having trouble with the buttons. And one of the things, is that they've supposed to have improved it. Now, they have sort of. If you look at the back of the board, we now have actual snap button type setups instead of the isomer type rubberized buttons, which I'll show you here in a minute. But these are, because this is a new circuit board, it made sense. They did upgrade these. Now, the problem that I found that was going on in this particular radio I received is there is a bunch, the buttons are involved because instead of playing around and spending the money to do, which is expensive, to do a new mold, they adapted as much as possible. So on the front panel you have this. Well, to get it to work with these little buttons, they created this, which is an intermediate push mechanism. So this has to push this, which then pushes the buttons on the bottom. Guess what? This was out of alignment. Now, it shouldn't be, because it's keyed in the design, but it was. And it was off by quite a bit, actually. Very surprising. I don't know how they got it together. But the other thing that's with this is this has, let me put my hand here so it gives you some contrast. Those pads in the little circular ones are supported by fairly thick pieces of plastic. And that's what's giving it that really stiff push. I'm still working on it, but I don't see a good way around this intermediary part because it has to convert this to a smaller pad, which is, or, you know, do the gap. And we've got, let's see, where is it? It's hiding somewhere. I was looking for the caliper. It's a fairly thick piece that is actually being moved in here. So that's where your stiffness is coming from. Now, I still stand by my comment, however, that they haven't replaced buttons or made them really great. Because guess what? Your trims are still the same old type of button. And what this is this is just a printed circuit pad, which is what the 9XR, I think, had on it. And it uses, where are you? Ah, here we go. This is the actual assembly that the rocker presses. So this, when you press this down, what it's actually doing is activating, get it out of here, this piece of little it's a type of rubber. It's a polymer rubber, and it has on it the contact pad in a conductive coating. And when you push down on it, that conductive part of it then bridges the two contacts. I'll get that out of the way. Sorry about that. Now, the problem with these are they wear out. Trust me. So I would still suggest going in there if down the line, and because it's quite a chore to get to these boards, although not as bad as far as I've gone in here. But if your buttons start not working on you, that's the culprit. You need to go in and attach one of these and fix it the right way. So let's continue on. I can't say much about this because there's not much here, actually. I've taken off the plastic assembly here for the earphone connector because I'm moving it. It makes no sense for me to have it on the bottom because when you're handling the radio, if you want to set it down, guess what? Plug's in the way. And you know, sometimes you want to set it that way. You don't want to set it, you know, you want to set it this way. You don't want to set it flat. Depends on what's going on. But I want that option to be able to do both ways without having to futz around with pulling a connector from the bottom. Again, this was done this way specifically because it let them keep the same body mold and just do this assembly in the same spot that the 9XR had. Makes sense financially. User-friendly, not great. The other thing I think that's really dumb is having this reset button right here. That's dangerous as hell. Because people, if you put a button somewhere, somebody's going to push it. You know, 35 years of experience there. So I would have mounted it on the circuit board with a hole through the battery compartment or something, or at least make you take the back off to be able to get to it, rather than just zap it right there. They probably did that as a convenience for being able to clear the board and totally reset it and rewrite it. A convenience to them. I wouldn't recommend it because the only time you need that is if you brick your processor, and that's basically what that means is you've scrambled up the bootloader that's been put on here to begin with. And if the bootloader is working, your USB loads will work fine. If they don't, it's either a USB problem, a software problem that you don't have the drivers loaded properly in your computer, or you've bricked the bootloader. So anyway, so that's that. Now, what else we got in here? This is, let me explain what this is. Inside, I'll move this out of the way. Too many notes. All right, this plugs into here. Okay, and then this is the right side. I labeled it. Whenever you take anything apart, label it. Don't trust your memory, especially when you get my age. So this plugs in here, and then this is basically a distribution board, and has the contacts on it for the one trim switch, and then this is for the other trim switch on the right-hand side of the radio. And then these two connectors go up to the actual gimbal, joystick, on the left and right-hand side for that. And you've got the mating piece of this for the left-hand side. So that's that. Next piece we can talk about easily. Alright, this is the top plate for your trainer port. Now, somewhere in here, there it is. Okay, this piece goes in a support which holds it black on black, does not photo well. Holds it right there so that you have your two types of connectors. But this is pretty standard, so yeah, into the bin. Now, what they've done here is on the original 9XR, you only had this one cable, which hooked up to the basically to the processor through a distribution board, which I'll show you here in a minute. And there was a mod that you had to do. You had to open up the back and basically do what this wire does, which is just, they've got it literally tacked on to the right contacts in here, just like the mod was for the 9XR, which is nice for them to do. Is it worth $100? No. This, however, is. Trust me, much better. So that's what this is. This runs into the distribution board. This piece here runs all the way down to the processor board and plugs in right here. So this is routed through the case. This goes to the distribution board, which is, my guess, probably identical to the 9XR. I don't see any reason for them to have changed that. Now, this is the distribution board. Now, this is buried so that you don't normally see these parts of it. What you normally see is this, which are the pins that go for the module. So your RF connector sits right in here. These are the pins, and when you open up the back, that's what you see, except it's that way because this power connector is on the bottom. Now, speaking of the power connector, I'm going to pull this and replace it with a regular JST or something rather than this because I don't like the fact that you have to close the battery compartment right over the top of the balance plugs. It's too easy to be in a rush. You should never be with RC, but we do it and damage the cable on the battery. So I'm going to you just untack these two connections, put a regular power plug on it, and plug it right into the battery, because that's all this is doing. Why they went that way, I really don't know. Because on a regular battery, that's the regular battery that comes with it, it's a polarized plug anyway. You're not going to plug it in the wrong way. I mean, why? Because they're not doing balance charging. Don't assume that they are, because they're not. This is a dumb connection. All of the logic for the charging and stuff is in that special battery that they sell, of course, for the radio, which I do recommend getting because it does have the charge circuitry in it. So on this side, this is just distribution. This gives you all the connections for basically the upper side of the radio. And it's got a fuse. Bad spot for a fuse in my mind. You should not put a fuse where you can't really see it. I like them to be visible, but you know, it's where they pick to do it. It makes sense in that this is where the power first comes into the radio. So technically, it's the right place. But it should have been done differently in that the power should have gone somewhere else where it would be a board that you can actually see this fuse, because it is a very fine fuse. You drop your radio enough times with it on, which of course you don't recommend, it is possible a fuse can go. So anyway, power regulation and stuff is somewhat in here. And your pinouts of this whole board are also on that diagram. Nice diagram. Whoever did it, ouch, excuse me, dropping my pieces and parts, did a very, very nice job. Kudos to him, big time. Now, the audio problem. This is your speaker. Now, part of the problem, this is not a bad sized speaker. Yeah, okay. But the actual sound producer here is plastic. So you're gonna get from this that vibrating type noise audio. You can find these in aftermarket that are the exact same size, that have generally a bigger magnet on the back. This is a really small magnet that use the fiber, which will give you better sound. The other option is of course replace it entirely with a small oval speaker, and you'll get kick butt sound out of it. Switches and stuff, they're all the same as the 9XR. Lousy quality on them, but They work, and remember, it's a $99 radio. And really, keep thinking to yourself, what you're really paying for is this. You know, when you talk about, you know, the difference between the 9XR and the Pro, this is your difference right here. That's the major consideration. What else can we go through? Oh, vibrator. You all have made comment about, you know what's in here, the haptic feedback, which, oh, come on, where'd you go? I know you're in here. Stop hiding from me. Ah, there it is. Okay. And you have to understand that it has a lot to do with placement and the size of the actual unit that's doing the vibrating. The vibrating is done by just quickly rotating an off-center weight. It causes a vibration. But that's the unit right there. Now, what you're seeing, most of what you're seeing here is the plastic for it. It's actually this little piece inside there. It's a very standard off-the-shelf product. Let's see if I can get it out. There we go. That's it. That's all that's giving you the vibration. Now, I caution you, if you want more vibration, do yourself a favor. Don't assume you can put a larger, pager-type vibration motor in and not blow the drivers that are on this. I would be very cautious. I'd add a transistor in the rest of the circuitry to power it safely without drawing any extra current, because you don't want to blow this out and the driver for this just by, you know, throwing another motor at it. Not a wise idea. Okay, what else we got here? All these tiddly bits. And this is static safe, by the way. Okay, these are all the mounts, the gimbals. Now, yes, they're not Tyrannus. But, you know, keep telling yourself. The feel, you know, considering the price of the radio, I don't think these are bad. You know, we have a tendency to want everything for the cheapest dollar, and that's why everything now is built in China instead of the US. It's our own damn fault. So, if you're not happy with these, you know, you can consider the Tyrannus. But, you know, if you're going to buy a $100 radio and then buy 2 Tyrannus units to put in it, it doesn't make sense. Just spend the extra bucks and buy the Tyrannus. Because by the time you're done fiddling with it, you've probably spent that much money. So, don't. Be happy. You know. Let's see what else we got in here. By the way, I was originally going to tear apart my 9XR and use it in a special field box that I'm building. But since I wanted to get in this because I was having problems with it, this is now going to be the guinea pig for that. And I'm going to keep the 9XR as the handheld for right now. I do have a Tyrannus on order, but oh, by the way, I did complain about this in the other video about this black wire just came immediately off. So if you're plugged into the bottom and you lose your audio, beware. Now, The red and the yellow are heat shrunk. That helps. The black was not. I would suggest, just for making sure that it doesn't go out on you, I would open the back of your radio and put a dab of super glue on, not super glue, hot glue on this to support this wire, because these, all of their wires, they need to be supported. You move these radios around, they get knocked over accidentally. You don't need to aggravate the radio and be flying and then have it finally fail on you in midair. We all know that's not a pretty thing. Let's see what else is in here. Okay, the antenna that's built in, that because the modules don't connect to it, nobody uses. Hopefully the new modules that they're going to come out with will finally consider using this. Otherwise, it's a damn waste of money. For the price of this, you could have put decent buttons on the, click action buttons on the trims. Anyway, so we'll see what happens with the new modules that come out. Now, some of you wonder, or have asked me offline of HobbyKing, what does the display look like? Well, this is the display taken apart. This back part, I haven't verified it yet because I haven't checked the voltage, but somebody mentioned, LED powered. I'm not so sure of that, because it's possible. There may be a bar of LEDs in here, or one or two. The way to tell whether it's an electrostatic, an EL pad backlit, or LED is to measure these voltages, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to assume they are LED, because EL panels generate interference, and you really don't want them anywhere near a radio. So I'm going to hope for the best on that. I will check it and let you know. And then this is the actual display module. This is an off-the-shelf module. I do want to make one comment here. I don't want to run real long, but yeah, I over-communicate. If you need to take your radio apart, okay, this is sitting underneath the panel for the processor, like this, and then this ribbon cable is in this connector. Now, be careful. Don't just pull this cable out. There is this tiny, let's see if I can get in there. Let me go to come on. Do it. You're silly. Well, come on. It's not letting me. Alright, let's do it this way. Okay. When you look inside the radio, you're going to see this connector in this configuration with the wire, with the flexible ribbon cable coming out of it. You see this black strip here? What you need to do is reach, before you do anything, you reach in there and you flip that with something very carefully, and you flip that up. That releases the tension that's on the cable that connects it into here. If you don't do that and you just pull the cable out, you can ruin the pins in this thing. Not a wise idea, because it's a bear to replace. And that applies any of these where you have a flexible ribbon type connector. whether it's this radio or any other piece of equipment, always look for this little flip bar. It's on like most of these, and this is actually a good design. Some of the cheaper ones you just have to shove in hard. They're not good. But this, they spent the money on this connector. So just be aware of that. What else we got in here? The SD card I have loaded in this right at the moment, so nothing spectacular there. That's really about it. Other than mechanical bits. So that's it. If anybody has any questions or comments, I would prefer you make them on my YouTube page, because the conversations are easier there. But I'll show you more as I repurpose this into a box. What I'm building is a field box that allows me to control a very specialized aircraft, and also have a lot of additional controls for equipment that's on board this aircraft. So I'm going to be working on that. It's going to probably take about 3 or 4 months total to build it up, but it'll be worth it once it's done. So as I go along, I may post videos, but I'll probably just do them on my YouTube channel. So you all have a great day. Have fun. Be careful. Fly safe. And don't fly over the top of people.